everyone, this is Jody, and welcome to my channel, The Planner Pages Edit. I am really excited about today's episode. This has been in the works for a while. This is actually part one of two, where I'm going to go through my 2026 planner lineup. And today I'm going to focus on the Sterling Ink planners that I am going to use next year. They're just part of my planned ecosystem for 2026. And this will be the first time that I have ever used Sterling Ink planners. I have used Sterling Ink notebooks for my journals and loved it, and thought this year I could incorporate them into my normal planner routine and lineup. So after doing a lot of research, getting familiar with this new layout, well, it's new to me, and looking at all your YouTube videos and Instagram pictures, really studying how you guys are using the Sterling Ink Common Planner setup, I finally have enough ideas for my own planner system for next year. And while these planners are not filled out, they just have a lot of sticky notes and placeholders, I thought now would be a good time to at least give you a preview of what I'm thinking in terms of how I'm going to use these. So let's get started. So as you can see, I have two planners. These are both the 2026 Common Planner from Sterling Ink, and they are both in the A5 compact size, which means, being compact, they have fewer blank pages in the back. I just felt I didn't need so many blank pages in my planner. I would probably have a hard time filling them up, so I opted to go the compact route. And I will be using these in two different ways. This is the A5 Slim, and this is the A5 normal size. So the regular A5 size is in forest green, beautiful cover color, and I'm going to be using this sort of as a creative journal. I've never done a creative journal before, but I felt that this would be a great year to start and see if I like it. I feel like I have some creative goals that I want to achieve, some things I want to learn and practice, and having my own planner or journal dedicated to that was the right way to get me started on that path. And then, of course, this here is I'm going to have to check the color of this. Okay, sorry. This is the color Mist. And this is going to be my personal planner for 2026. I didn't really have a personal planner this year in 2025. I started one and then I switched it to a study planner. I don't know why. There are a lot of reasons why it didn't work out. And that is going to be another YouTube video as I look back on 2025. But after doing some research, I thought this would be a great option for my personal planner in the coming year. So this artistic or creative planner is in the vertical grid style. And then the personal planner, I opted to do horizontal. So we'll see how it goes with each of these. But I'm really excited. And after a lot of research, I have a pretty good idea now of how I want to use both of them. So let's start with the creative planner or the creative journal. Again, this is really meant to be sort of a planner of creativity and experimentation for me. One thing I really want to do this year is improve my drawing skills. I don't have any, so I guess not acquire drawing skills. And so I thought having some sort of daily doodle notebook would be a really fun way to see my progress and get me in the habit of drawing. So I'm just going to start with opening this up. And then, of course, we have our yearly overview. I've decided that I am going to mark off special dates on these mini calendars using a very neutral brown dot marker. I have it right here. The clean color dot zig marker. I'm going to use the brown color. and just put dots on specific dates that are important throughout the year. Moving on to these 2 blank pages. I'm probably going to leave this page blank. I'm not quite sure yet if I want to use it or how I want to use it. But for now, I've got some notes on the general look of this planner. So I'm thinking about having some top tabs for the monthly pages, at least for the backside. I'm going to break up these blank pages into some monthly sections, and then side tabs for the actual calendars throughout the year. And I'm thinking my aesthetic this year is going to be a little more playful and experimentation. I'm going to have some more drawings in here, some stickers, and it's not going to be all business like my planners typically are. There is going to be a lot of artistic pieces, at least for me, or experimenting with drawing and color, and design and layout, because I'm not really good at any of that, but I'd like to be. And then, of course, this page, I've decided I'm going to turn this into a 2026 cover or dashboard. It'll include a word or quote related to creativity that I will use as my North Star for the year. Moving on to this next page, these are goal breakdowns. And it looks like you've got goals for someday in the future, in a year and a half year, quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily. Now, I know that some people don't even use these. They kind of like to repurpose this spread, but I think I'm going to try and actually use this to map out some goals. So I've got some placeholders here. Obviously, I have some creative goals that I would like to keep track of. I also have some learning goals as it relates to my creative journey. I also have self-care goals, and I think self-care does really go hand in hand with the creative process for me. But I also have learned this past year that self-care has to be really intentional for myself. So I'm going to definitely track some of those goals. And then spiritually, I thought about using this category in my personal planner, but then I really also felt that there is a spiritual connectivity to my creative work, and it doesn't necessarily have to be religious. It can also be just that greater, I don't even know how to explain it. If you have read The Artist's Way, the author there does actually talk about how spiritualness and having a sense of spirituality really goes hand in hand with your creative work. And I do have some goals in mind on how I can really be a spiritual person as I embark on this creative journey for 2026. And then this is a yearly habit tracker. And it actually took me a while to figure out how I'm going to use this. But there are some great YouTube videos out there of people using this in a really creative and functional way. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow some of those ideas. I have outlined at least 3 habits that I want to track, and I'm just going to track those using probably one of these dot markers. And I'll have a color code here on the top. And for now, I have 3 habits that I want to track. Reading for enjoyment. I do a lot of reading for work or for learning, but I need to get better at reading just for fun. Also creating. Like I said, this has to be an intentional decision for me. It is very easy to get caught up in the busyness of my day and not put time aside for creating. And then movement. And I'm going to be really liberal with what this means. It can be anything from walking to cycling to stretching, just as long as I am making an intentional decision to get up and move throughout the day. So those are going to be the first 3 habits that I'm going to track just by putting dots or symbols. I guess I'll have to create some sort of key to differentiate the difference between these habits. And then I think as the year goes on, I'll probably find 2 more habits that I want to track for a total of 5. And I'll just put that color key or symbol key right up here on the top. We'll see how it goes. And then we have what is the quarterly priorities for the month or for the year, starting with, of course, January, February, and March, the first quarter of the calendar year. You've got a priorities section. I am definitely going to use that as it literally is designed to be used for priorities. But then for each month, I decided that I also want to write one thing that I want to practice as it pertains to my creative work, one thing I want to learn this month, and then one skill to review. And that's how I'm going to fill the rest of the year, all 4 quarters with those prompts, I guess. And then we have these habit trackers. And I'm still not quite sure how I'm going to use this. I have some ideas up here, but now as I look at this, I think these are going to change. But these will be different from the yearly habit trackers in that they will just be dedicated to the month. So they might stay the same. They might change. I don't really know. Right now I have Bible study, devotionals, a prayer book, journaling, reading, movement, no spending, exercising with our house cat who tends to put on weight easily, and some bullet journaling. But some of those actually, now that I read them, are a repeat of what I have set aside for the year. So I'm probably going to have to think more about these. And then here at the bottom, I'm probably just going to use some washi and deco. I've got some cute washi for the new year. And I am looking forward to incorporating those into this planner. Moving on to the next parts, we have, this is what I thought was very interesting. Sterling Ink always has a December calendar for the previous year in their planners. And at first I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to use this, especially in my creative planner. I didn't want to use it as a traditional calendar. I know some people will take washi and just cover the dates, take a sticker and cover the month, and repurpose this to a more generic layout. I didn't think about doing that. But one thing that I really want to do is, again, use this as a testing space since I have never used a Sterling Ink planner before. So I think I'm going to keep the month and the days and the dates and treat this as a practice run for the month of December. And one thing that I want to do, I think it was a great idea that I got from another creator, is I want to fill in each day of the week with either a list or a doodle or a sticker of one good thing that happened to me each day. And that kind of goes back to my goal of wanting to be a better drawer. So I'm going to try that out. We'll see how it goes. One idea I'm also going to steal from someone else is to block off the 2 weekend columns, just outline them in a different color. I liked that idea just to keep the weeks and the weekends separate. And then in the margins, I think I'm going to have a monthly quote on the side and then some decoration on the bottom. And if this works well, I will continue this for all the future months of 2026. But again, my goal is to just test this out. This is a brand new layout and system for me. So I'm going to be very forgiving during the month of December 2025 in this planner. So now I'm moving on to the meat and potatoes of this planner, and that is the vertical weekly layout. And I have used vertical weekly layouts before, and I did really like it. I used them as in the traditional time blocking sense. Now, because this isn't going to be a work planner for me, I'm going to use this in a little different way. I'm more or less going to ignore the hourly segments. I might use them maybe as general guidelines for how my day goes, but I'm not going to use this as a planner or scheduler. This is going to be more like a journal for me. So my plan is to either through bullet notes, but also sketches and doodles, which is something I want to work on, and stickers. I've ordered some cute stickers from Coffee Monster Co. and a few other places. I want to use those to tell the story of how my day went. So it's going to be a very visual spread, I think. And there will be a few words. I'll do a few notes in here, but I want to use this as kind of a record in pictures or stickers of how my day went. And again, I will section off the weekends in a different color, but we'll see how this goes. It's completely new for me, and I am actually out of my comfort zone when it comes to drawing, but I feel that if I do it every day, I'm going to get better. And then in these margins, I'm also stealing another idea. Each week, I'm going to write down what I'm currently reading, what I'm currently listening to, what I'm currently watching, and then my favorite stationery item for the week. And then I'll probably use the bottom for decoration. So we'll see how this goes. This is all completely new for me. And then moving to the back. So that's how the idea is to continue this throughout the rest of the year, every week. And my hope is I will see progression. I will see improvement in my drawings. I will see confidence in using this new layout in a very unconventional way. And hopefully I'll get a lot of enjoyment from this because this is all brand new to me. So let's skip to the back. So Sterling Ink planners have a bunch of blank pages in the back of their notebooks for you to use however you wish. And I've been studying how all of you are using these pages. And I've just gotten some great ideas that I'm going to borrow. But I really liked the idea of having an index. And the index is really just to show how you're using each section of these blank spots. Again, I have the compact version, so I have fewer blank pages than the complete planner version. And I think they total 119 blank pages. So I'm going to dedicate one page to being the index page. Now, I have no idea if I'm going to need more than one page, but I figured if I do, I can just create a tip-in. And this section, this back section, is going to be a little different from the weekly spreads where there's going to be a lot of doodles and a lot of, creative and more playful stickers. I think I'm going to use Sterling Ink stickers. I actually signed up for a sticker subscription. I think her stickers are beautiful. They're a little less playful than like the Coffee Monster stickers that I ordered, but I want to use those to decorate these back pages. So I'm going to start with an index, and we'll fill it up as the year goes on. I also want to have a living list of all the places that I have visited throughout the year, and I will organize it by month. I'll kind of create a table. That's what I'm envisioning, at least, where it'll have the month, and then I'll have the place that I visited. And the places can be anything from new cities or states. And unfortunately, I don't plan on international travel, but that is a goal. or local venues that I go to visit. And I've set aside 2 pages for that. And again, if it grows, I'll just put a tip-in. That was an idea a YouTuber had that I loved, especially since I travel a lot. And then I move on to the monthly section. I, again, will have some tabs, I think, on the top for the monthly sections. And each month is going to have some sort of cover page. I think it'll be mostly decoration. I don't think it will be very functional, but just to separate these blank pages from one another. I think each month is going to have a bullet list of highlights. And again, since this is my creative journal, the content is going to be focused on my creative journey. And then another page of kind of reflection, I guess, looking back on the month. What I learned creatively, what I learned about myself as a creative person, and what inspired me this month. And I've set aside a couple pages for that reflection. I also put a page on challenges and frustrations, and another page for just a narrative reflection in general. And each month, and then a final page, goals for the next month. And that's what I think each month is going to look like. Now that I'm going through this, that's a lot. So we'll see if I keep it up. So I did my math and counting, and this marks the end of the whole year. So December would end here. I still had some leftover pages. So I'm going to use a section for doodles. I figured I have a lot of waiting time, especially when I travel, and I'm usually by myself. So while I'm killing time, maybe I can just do some random doodles. And so I've set aside a few pages to do that. Again, this is for the whole year. And then I want to practice my lettering. There was a time when I really did some serious lettering practice. I've let that slip. So I'd like to start doing some lettering practice again in my free time, especially when I'm waiting or I'm in public waiting. Traveling is a great time to do some of that. So I've set aside time to do lettering practice throughout the year whenever I have time. It's very unstructured. And I decided to close out these blank pages with just a section for brain dumps. And we'll see how this goes. I mean, that would, assuming that I do all of this, that would fill every single page of this planner. It might be a little too ambitious as I think about this, but I'm excited. It's brand new. I have never done anything like this before. I've been very typically straightforward business to the point with my planners, but this is going to be a new experience, and I am really excited about it. So once I get this all set up, again, these are all just placeholders with ideas. Once I get this all set up, I'll give you all a tour. This next Sterling Ink planner is my personal planner. And again, as I had mentioned, I started off this year with a personal planner, and then it just kind of sputtered out for a lot of reasons. But I need one. I got to be honest with myself. I need a personal planner for the non-work items. So I have gotten this full year 2026 A5 Slim version from Sterling Ink in the horizontal layout, and it is also the compact version, so fewer blank pages in the back. And this is going to be used in a more traditional planner sense. Whereas the other one was going to be totally creative, this is going to be a little more functional. I'll still mark off the dates, important dates, using a dot marker. I think I'll probably use pink for this planner. Hang on one second. As for these blank pages, I think similar to what I was doing before, I'll do a dashboard for 2026. It's going to be mostly decoration. I'll choose a word or a quote and some deco to make it look nice. My planner aesthetic, I'm envisioning for this to be more pastels, but also using some Sterling Ink stickers and some sticky Monster Co. stickers. Not to be confused with Coffee Monster Co. So I ordered a bunch of those, and I need to order more because those will be used also in my work planner, which will be in my next episode, part 2 of my lineup. And again, this is similar to the creative planner that I went through where, you have goals, and I decided that I'm going to use the goals. I'm not going to repurpose this. I have some personal goals, professional goals, financial goals, health goals. This year I started a small business on Etsy. I have some goals for that. And then we have a lot of house projects. So I put a section for this as well. And so that is the goal breakdown for the year. Again, this looks familiar because I think it's in it is in every planner from Sterling Ink. And this is the yearly tracker with, and I'm going to, again, do the color key at the top. I have not figured out what my habits are that I want to track for this year. I believe I figured out what they are going to be for the quarter, but not quite for the year. But I will think of something, trust me. And it'll be the same, I'll have the key at the top, and then I'll track them either by a color, a different colored dot, or a symbol. Okay. Like the other planner, we have our quarterly priorities and goals. I'm going to use this section to list things that I'm looking forward to for the month. Pretty straightforward. It'll be mostly writing. I'll put some deco in here for sure. And then we have our quarterly trackers. I know what I want for the quarterly habits. Like I said before, I'm still undecided on what the yearly habits will be. But some things I want to track: eating in. This year we ate out a lot. I want to start eating in more. I need to make sure I'm checking in on my parents. They are getting along in their age. They don't always check in with me, so I need to make sure I'm checking in on them. Watering the plants in our house. My YouTube content. That does sound creative, I know, but I think I'm going to keep it in my personal planner for now. Planner content and vitamins. I need to start getting back into the habit of taking my supplements. And then probably just going to decorate the bottom section here. So that is for all the quarters. Will probably be the same. The habits will probably change depending on the season of my life. And then we have, of course, our December 2025 calendar before we kick off the 2026 years. And I've decided that I'm going to use this as a traditional calendar, where I was a little more creative in my other planner. This planner is going to be a typical planner. So December does get busy. I will have no problem filling this up with appointments and decorating the margins. And I think I'm just going to continue that throughout the rest of the year, because this is going to be a little bit more functional than my other planner. So here's the weekly layout. Very different from the other planner with the vertical layout, but it's also very straightforward. And I'm going to use it exactly as it was intended to use. This is going to be my weekly schedule of personal appointments and reminders. And then this blank page, which accompanies every week, I'm going to have a to-do list, some weekly aspirations, a weekly quote, and then 3 to 5 self-care activities that I want to make sure I do throughout the week. And that's it. And of course, I'll incorporate all the deco and stickers and washi and make it look really nice. But pretty straightforward. And I intend to do that for the rest of the year. And then we have the blank pages. And I haven't really mapped this out as much as I did my creative journal, but I think this is going to be a little different in that I'm going to section off. I think I did the math, and based off all these pages, I have about 2 pages per week where I'm going to do a weekly recap that documents the accomplishments I achieved, some unresolved challenges. I want to get back into starting a prayer list, intermediary prayer, which is something I started a few years ago. I'd like to get back into that. And then next week's intentions. So that's a 2-week spread covering all those topics for every week. And that, I think, does take me to the end of this planner. So very different from the other planner, and that is this will be used in a more traditional sense. It'll be much more functional, and it's going to help keep me organized. So that wraps it up. That's what 2026 is going to look like for me in these planners. I'm very excited to start incorporating new practices into a brand new planner and planner system. I'm excited about the stickers that I've ordered. and even these beautiful artistic pieces that Sterling Ink inserts with your purchase. I'm going to find a way to use these. I'm not quite sure how. But this is a new adventure for me. I'm still going to use cloth and paper, but cloth and paper has been my primary planner brand for many years, and it will be my main go-to still for work and content creation. But I'm excited to start something new as well. I think it's good for my brain to have to learn how to use a new system and layout, learn from all the great ideas out there online that you are all sharing. You really have inspired me to be a little more creative with my planning. And once these are filled out, I'll give a tour of each. But that is, in a nutshell, what my 2026 is going to look like in both my personal planner and a more creative planner. So let me know how you are going to use your 2026 lineup. What does the lineup look like? Are you going to do anything untraditional like I am with my creative planner? And if so, share those ideas with me. And in a few months, these pages will be filled and I'll be able to give you a little tour of how things are going. Until next time, I will see you later. My next episode will be part 2 of my 2026 lineup, and that is going to go through my work planner and content planner, which will both be cloth and paper planners. So until then, guys, I will see you later. Happy planning.